Summary of the incident. Following a devastating school shooting at Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis that left 2 children dead and injured multiple others, a political firestorm erupted between Senator Tina Smith of Minnesota and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the current Secretary of Health and Human Services, HHS. In an interview, Kennedy publicly suggested that his department would launch studies into the potential link between psychiatric drugs, specifically antidepressants, and acts of mass violence. He referenced the tragic event despite no confirmed evidence that the 23-year-old shooter, Robin Westman, had been taking such medication. In a blistering rebuke on X, Senator Smith, who has been open about her own struggles with depression and the benefits of antidepressants, told Kennedy to shut up and stop peddling bullshit. She challenged him to take his claims directly to the grieving community, stating that guns don't kill kids, antidepressants do. This public confrontation highlights the deep and long-standing ideological divide over the root causes of gun violence in America. Analysis of the public health and political context. Kennedy's comments are not an isolated event, but rather a consistent feature of his public platform, which often challenges established medical consensus and public health institutions. His remarks in the aftermath of the Minneapolis shooting align with a broader political narrative, common among some conservative and anti-vaccine advocates, that reframes gun violence as a mental health crisis rather than a gun control issue. By singling out psychiatric medications, Kennedy shifts the conversation away from the easy availability of firearms, which a former classmate confirmed were legally purchased and used by the shooter. This approach serves a dual purpose. It appeases a political base that opposes stricter gun laws, and it reinforces Kennedy's personal brand as a maverick figure unafraid to question mainstream science. Senator Smith's response, however, was not merely a political counterpoint. It was deeply personal and rooted in her own advocacy for mental health care. Her passionate and direct language, telling him to shut up, reflects the immense frustration of many who see such comments as not only factually incorrect, but also profoundly harmful. By linking psychiatric medication to violence, Kennedy's remarks contribute to the stigma surrounding mental health treatment, potentially discouraging people who need help from seeking it. As many mental health experts and organizations have pointed out, there is no credible scientific evidence to support a causal link between antidepressants and mass shootings. The vast majority of people who take these medications are not violent, and many studies suggest that they actually help to reduce the risk of self-harm and other dangerous behaviors. Reasons and consequences. The primary reason for Kennedy's comments is to push a political and ideological agenda. By focusing on psychiatric drugs, he provides an alternative explanation for mass violence that sidesteps the more difficult and politically contentious debate over gun control. This strategy is particularly effective in an era of polarized media, where unsubstantiated claims can spread rapidly and find traction within specific echo chambers. The consequence of this rhetoric is multifaceted and damaging. First, it further erodes public trust in key health institutions, particularly the HHS, which he now leads. His actions, such as the dismissal of the entire Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, ACIP, have already drawn sharp criticism from the medical community, and these latest comments only deepen that mistrust. Second, the consequences for public health are severe. By stigmatizing psychiatric medication, Kennedy's remarks could deter individuals from seeking life-saving treatment for conditions like depression and anxiety. This could lead to a worsening mental health crisis, with a potential increase in both self-harm and other violent incidents. Third, the comments inflict emotional harm on the families and communities grieving from the Minneapolis tragedy. They feel a sense of betrayal, as their trauma is co-opted for a political talking point that ignores the real danger of gun proliferation. By attempting to blame a class of medication instead of the weapon, Kennedy's comments compound the tragedy with misinformation and insensitivity. Prediction and solutions. Looking ahead, it is likely that Kennedy will continue to use his platform to promote these and other controversial views, especially given his new position within the administration. The political polarization around this issue is so entrenched that neither side is likely to shift its stance. The debate will continue to be framed as a choice between focusing on mental health or gun control, despite the fact that both issues are complex and require multifaceted solutions. One potential solution is for mainstream public health institutions, medical professionals, and lawmakers to actively and consistently counter this misinformation with clear, evidence-based communication. This means not only debunking false claims, but also proactively educating the public about the safety and efficacy of mental health treatments. A second solution involves a bipartisan effort to address both mental health and gun violence in a comprehensive manner. This would entail increasing access to affordable, high-quality mental health care, while simultaneously enacting common-sense gun safety laws, such as universal background checks and red flag laws. Finally, the media must be vigilant in holding public officials accountable for their statements, and in providing context and scientific backing for their reporting, rather than simply amplifying a false equivalence between mental illness and gun violence.